morning, David. It smells great in here. What are you up to?
So today we're going to make hazelnut tart with buckwheat and apple, and chocolate with ganache on top.
So how do you make the ganache?
So first we start by heating up part of the cream.
Okay, so your cream is simmering now. What do you do?
So we take it off the heat to put the gelatin inside. The gelatin here and the water. You need to make sure that you squeeze off the excess water so it doesn't end up in the cream. So now put it in the cream. So if you don't have gelatin, in this case it's not a big problem. We can use this recipe without the gelatin. We just need to make sure that you pipe the cream at the end. So we're going to make the ganache now. I'm going to give it a few seconds until it starts melting before I whisk. So with this cream, this is one of the recipes that I said that you could use it for a lot of things. For example, in the cream, in the first part that we heated up, you could have infused spices, herbs, or orange or lemon. So that's what I meant. From one recipe, you make a lot of different recipes because you can adjust it to whatever you like. So now I'm going to add the cold cream. You could also use a hand blender if you want to move it quicker, but with a whisk works fine as well.
It's really thickening for you now.
Yep. Yeah, because of the cold cream, it set the chocolate on its own. So, but we still can't use it immediately. It has to set a little bit better. So we just cover this in cling film and put it in the fridge for around 6 hours or overnight.
So we're making the pastry now, right?
Yes, this also could be done the day before.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy. All we have to do is mix the sugar and the butter.
Should we use cold butter or is your better?
In the middle. Now we just need to put the flour, and it's important not to over mix the flour. We just incorporate it on a slow speed. So this is the texture that we're looking for. I mean, it's crumbly, but as soon as you put some pressure, it comes together nicely. So what we're going to do now is wrap it in cling film and chill it for around 30 minutes. So now that we took out the dough from the fridge, which is cool and it's rested, and we're going to line the tart for our tart. So now we're aiming at around 4, maybe 5 millimeters remaining flour. When you're making doughs, it's always better that you make a little bit extra, because otherwise it's very difficult to get it perfect circle, and you always need a little bit extra to trim off after. A small trick to check if you have enough. Doing this basically on all the sides.
That looks pretty nice.
So now we're going to put the sides in first to make sure that all the corners are lined, because otherwise when we bake it, it will shrink. I'm just using. And it's very important that the pastry is cold, because otherwise it will break easily.
We're going to be baking the tart blind now, right?
So after around 30 minutes in the fridge, we're going to put the tart in the oven. Now, we can't put it just like this, because otherwise the base would puff up. So in order to keep it flat, we're going to put some weight on it. We're using dry beans, or you could use rice and keep it for another time. We have a piece of parchment paper, which I squashed in order to help it go in the corners better. Because if it was too just straight, the beans won't go in the corners properly. So. Just a second. It helps you to remove the shrinkage, because if there's not enough beans to the side, the dough would shrink more. So we're going to make a sort of a dome. Something like this. So after we bake the tart, bake blind the tart, we take it out, and this is the color that we're aiming for.
Working on our filling, right?
So finally, yes. So the filling, we have a few items here. We have golden syrup, which we're going to heat up and then put in the eggs. We're going to put it's also always important that you never put the eggs inside of the pot, because otherwise it will scramble. So you always put the hot item inside the eggs. Before boiling. So when the syrup boiled, and it's much more liquid. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to add the chocolate to the pot. I'm going to mix it. The heat is turned off, so we're just melting the chocolate with the heat of the golden syrup. You don't need to keep. We're going to put it slowly, so we don't scramble the eggs. So first I'm going to put a little bit here.
So you don't bit by bit?
Yeah, because otherwise you would heat the eggs too much, and you'd be risking to make scrambled eggs instead of tart. You have to work a bit fast because of the golden syrup and the chocolate. It's quite a thick liquid, so you don't want it to cool down. Whisk it in. So, once the chocolate is incorporated, you just have to add the remaining fillings. So, the apples, what I did here, I didn't cut them too small, because when they're going to cook, they're going to release the water. Otherwise, if they're too small, they'll become like a apple puree. So cut them a little bit, like one. So that's it. So we're going to pour it in the tart.
Best part.
And we're going to bake it at around 150 degrees or 160 for around 20 to 25 minutes, depending on the oven. I will show you later the consistency it should be.
So good.
So, yeah, we baked it for around 25 minutes to have an idea of how it needs to look before taking it out, because it depends from the oven. Normally it starts cracking from around the edge, because obviously the outer part cooks quicker than the middle, but the middle has to, when you touch it, it has to be still a little bit soft after it cools down, sort of fudgy. So you don't want it to dry out too quickly. And then we need to let it cool, ideally at room temperature for around 2-3 hours. And so then we can fill the cream. The reason why you need it to cool down is because the cream contains gelatin and otherwise it would melt. If you're not using the cream, you could even serve it warm. So you have two options there. So then we whip the cream. You can use a whisk by hand or the machine. You whip it lightly until the piping consistency, and then we're just going to garnish the top. And
That's looking insanely good. Wow. Is it ready now?
you could serve it like this, maybe put some cocoa powder or something like that. I just have some chopped hazelnuts. That's it.
Well, that looks amazing. I'm sure that everyone is dying to try that. Thank you so much, David. We'll definitely be back with our comments. Thank you.
Thank you.